for brief farewells between the departing crew members and the other crew members remaining on board the station, now led by NASA Commander Mike Fink, who took over command of the International Space Station in a change of command ceremony on Sunday morning. We'll be replaying that change of command ceremony in just a few minutes. Fink, along with his NASA crewmates Zena Cardman and Chris Williams, Kimi Yui of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, and Ryzhikov, Mikheyev, and Oleg Platonov are the 7 crew members who will remain on board the International Space Station once the undocking takes place. That undocking again scheduled at 7:41 and 30 seconds p.m. Central Time, 8:41 p.m. Eastern Time. At the time of undocking, Expedition 73 will come to an end, and as you can see in the crew patch at the bottom of your screen, Expedition 74 will formally begin. The International Space Station currently flying 262 statute miles over the South Atlantic, about to begin a southwest and northeasterly trajectory in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator.
Removed the okay, we removed the unit 2 and we performed 2.4.3.
249, 2410.
2.4.10. We have moved everything. And we put the KSS in the prime mode. And KSP is also ready.
You're hearing the interpreted conversation between Russian flight controllers at the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov outside of Moscow. There's a view, live balcony view of that cavernous control center just outside of Moscow. They are in control of all of the operations for tonight's undocking, entry, and landing to the steppe of Kazakhstan. In Kazakhstan, a NASA team of support personnel embedded with the Russian Rosaviatsa search and recovery forces are in Zhezkazgan, Kazakhstan. The NASA team arrived in Karaganda, the prime staging city, on Saturday afternoon, and then a half-dozen NASA support personnel flew on an Antonov 26 aircraft from Karaganda to Zhezkazgan, a forward staging point just about 91 miles to the northwest of the landing site itself. They are spending the night there. They'll be moving to the Zhezkazgan airfield a short time from now and await word on boarding a series of helicopters that will ultimately arrive in the vicinity of the landing zone to begin the recovery of the crew. It is, as you would expect for a December evening and morning in the Central Asian area. It's quite cold. The temperatures are about 22 degrees Fahrenheit with snow flurries. That temperature is expected to drop into the high teens at the time of landing for Kim, Ryzhikov, and Zubritskiy. Again, that landing to take place at 10:03 and 55 seconds a.m. Kazakhstan time on Tuesday morning. Once the landing occurs, the 3 crew members will be extracted from their descent module, the center section of the 3-section Soyuz spacecraft, the only section that survives the heat of reentry thanks to its heat shield. The 3 crew members will be placed in chairs for a few minutes to begin to regain a sense of equilibrium based on Earth's gravity before they're brought into a nearby inflatable medical tent to get out of their Sokol launch and entry suits, get into more comfortable clothing, warm clothing, no doubt. They'll ultimately be placed in 3 helicopters, 1 for each crew member, and flown about 2 hours from the landing site back to Karaganda, where Jonny Kim will board a NASA aircraft for the flight back to the Johnson Space Center, and the 2 Russian cosmonauts, Ryzhikov and Zubritskiy, will board a Gagarin cosmonaut training aircraft for their flight back to their training base in Star City, Russia, just outside of Moscow. Once again, we're just a few minutes away from coming on board the Prashal module for a ceremonial farewell, if you will, as the three departing crew members have one final opportunity to say goodbye to their crewmates, and then they'll float inside of the hatchway to the Soyuz MS-27 spacecraft. Once the hatch is closed, the Soyuz crew members on their side of the hatch interface and the space station crew will begin a series of leak checks on both sides of the interface to ensure that we have a tight seal before the small vestibule or passageway between Prashal and Soyuz is depressurized down to vacuum to set the stage for the actual undocking itself. Undocking scheduled again at 7:41 and 30 seconds p.m. Central Time, 8:41 p.m. Eastern Time. During the course of their time on orbit, two of the three crew members who are leaving the station this evening, Sergey Ryzhikov and Alexey Zubritskiy, conducted a pair of spacewalks totaling 13 hours and 3 minutes. The crew, including Jonny Kim, of course, and the other station crew members, saw the arrival of 9 visiting vehicles and the departure of 6 visiting vehicles during their 245 days in space and aboard the International Space Station. To set the stage for you for the rest of this evening, once we complete the hatch closure, we will sign off for a short period of time while the departing Soyuz crew runs through their procedures of leak checks, communications checks. They'll be donning their Soka launch and entry suits. We will be back on the air on NASA Plus at 7:15 p.m. Central Time, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time for our undocking coverage. And then our third and final broadcast of the night will get underway at 9:30 p.m. Central, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the deorbit burn, entry, landing, and all things being equal, video from the landing site through the time the crew is brought into that nearby medical tent, at which point we will sign off for the night. A good view of the Soyuz MS-27 spacecraft. That's the ride home today for Kim, Ryzhikov, and Zubritskiy. At the top of your screen is the instrumentation and propulsion module, and now we are inside the Prashal. As we stand by for continuous video inside, I believe they're just testing out the camera at this point. At the top of your screen is the instrumentation and propulsion module. The crew rides home in the center section called the descent module. The Soyuz commander, Sergey Ryzhikov, will be in the center seat. To his left will be board engineer number 1. That is Alexey Zubritskiy, and Jonny Kim, board engineer number 2, will be in the right seat, just to the right of Ryzhikov. At the very bottom of your screen, just attached to Prashal, that is the orbital module. Basically, if you look at it, flip the orientation, that would be at the very top, a bulbous module. Those three sections pyrotechnically separate from one another The separation of the modules takes place about 24 minutes after the deorbit burn and about 3 minutes before the vehicle enters the Earth's atmosphere, with the descent module's heat shield pointed in the direction of travel to repel temperatures that will build up to about 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit around the spacecraft. As you saw a brief glimpse a moment or two ago of the crew members gathering in the passageway at the Prasal module, which is the multi-hatched node module attached to the Naoka multipurpose laboratory module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. The crew members will say farewell to one another. Jonny Kim, Sergey Ryzhikov, Alexey Zubritskiy will then float through the hatchway, close the hatch behind them, and the hatch on the station side of the docking interface will also be closed by the station crew. Leak checks will be conducted on both sides of the interface to make sure we have a tight seal prior to the time that that passageway is depressurized down to vacuum that will initiate the undocking procedures. An undocking command will be issued at 7:40 p.m. Central Time, 8:40 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be about a 90-second procedure to open up the hooks holding the Soyuz to Prishal at the docking interface. At 7:41 and 30 seconds p.m., 8:41 and 30 seconds p.m. Eastern Time, springs on both sides of the docking interface will push off against one another, and we will have physical separation. At that point, Expedition 73 will be in the history books. Expedition 74 will get underway in earnest. Once again, you see the crew now gathered, all 10 of them, in the passageway. And actually, for this, they've changed up the script just a little bit. This is in the Zvezda service module, where you're accustomed to seeing welcoming ceremonies take place. So they'll obviously offer a few words before Ryzhikov in the white shirt, Jonny Kim on the far right of your screen, and Alexey Zubritskiy on the left of your screen, front row, will then make their way into Prichal's passageway to say farewell and move through the Soyuz hatchway.
Рады видеть всех на борту российского сегмента. Ну что, Сереж, приступим? Перво-наперво от лица всего ЦУПа, руководства и всех сотрудников хочу поблагодарить за вашу работу в течение почти 8 месяцев, за ваше терпение. И, конечно,
So grateful for all your patience.
вам желаем доброго пути домой и до скорой
And of
встречи.
course, Sergey, we wish you a soft landing and hope to see you very soon on the ground. Mikhail, thanks a lot to you and to the whole MCC, national partners and our colleagues and all those who are involved in the ISS program.
Days on the ISS and see you on the ground. Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank all the mission controls, MCC Moscow, MCC Houston, Huntsville, Munich, Tsukuba, each and every specialist who's been working with us during these 8 months, everyone who trained us for this mission. We hope we justified your choice, who have been supporting us and are going to support us as we return on Earth. All the Roscosmos operations, thank you to everyone who participates in piloted spaceflight program. Thank you very much and see you on the ground.
Flying space, being up here with this crew has been one of the greatest privileges of my life. They've become my family away from my family, and I can't thank the international centers, SUP, Moscow, Houston, Tsukuba, Huntsville, Munich, all the controllers who've worked 24/7 to support us. It means so much, and let's continue doing what we do for space exploration.
I'd like to add a few words. Thank you to the entire crew, to those who stay on board the space station. Expedition 74, safe continuation of flight, execution of all the tasks, and happy and safe return to the ground, home. Thank you. One more time, thank you so very much for your kind words. Jonny said big family, so let it always be this way. One more time, congratulations to Mikhail for assuming the commandment of the space station. One more time, thanks. And then let's wrap it up here. And let's proceed to our main activities. Sergey Ryzhikov is going to close the hatches after you are back in your Soyuz vehicle. Let's go ahead. Copy. In work. Thank you. Thank you. All the very best to you.
Echoing many of the words that they said yesterday during a change of command ceremony, the crew members, particularly Kim, Ryzhikov, and Zubritskiy, will now move toward the Prichal module passageway and begin to say farewell for one final time to the remaining crew members who will stay aboard the station, led by the new station commander, NASA's Mike Fink. Countdown clocks here in Mission Control ticking backward toward the undocking of the Soyuz MS-27 from the Prichal module some 3.5 hours from now. Again, once Kim, Ryzhikov, and Zubritskiy make their way inside Soyuz and close the hatch, they'll conduct leak checks. They'll begin to don their Sokol launch and entry suits. receive updated landing information from the Russian flight controllers at the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow, and set the stage for the commands that will open up the hooks holding the Soyuz to Prishal, and the physical separation of the vehicle at 7:41 and 30 seconds p.m. Central Time, 8:41 and 30 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. The deorbit burn itself, this is a retrograde maneuver of 4 minutes and 42 seconds in duration to slow the Soyuz down by 128 meters per second, is scheduled at 10:09 and 46 seconds p.m. Central Time, 11:09 and 46 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. That deorbit burn will enable the Soyuz to slowly drop out of the grasp of low Earth orbit and begin its high-speed entry back into the Earth's atmosphere. Some 24 minutes after the completion of the deorbit burn, automatic commands will trigger pyrotechnics that will separate the three sections of the Soyuz vehicle. That will occur at an altitude of about 86.8 miles in altitude. 3 minutes after the module separation, the entry of the vehicle, that's the descent module, the center section of the Soyuz, which will be flying in the direction of travel with the heat shield in the direction of travel, will hit the Earth's atmosphere, traveling at high speed with temperatures building around that heat shield of some 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. There will be an entry into a plasma regime where the repelling of the heat around the spacecraft will create a plasma shield that could prevent any communications of any meaningful sort from the Soyuz back to the Russian flight controllers in Korolyov. The plasma regime should last about 5 minutes in duration. Once the vehicle exits the plasma time frame, they'll be reaching the maximum G loads on their bodies, Kim, Ryzhikov, and Zubritskiy, 4 to 5 Gs at an altitude of about 109,000 feet. Some 2 minutes after that, the command will be issued to open up the chutes on the vehicle. First drogue chutes, then the main parachute at an altitude of some 34,000 feet. From that point on, it's about 15 minutes till touchdown, with landing scheduled at 11:03 and 55 seconds p.m. Central Time, 12:03 and 55 seconds a.m. Tuesday Eastern Time, 10:03 and 55 seconds a.m. at the landing site in Kazakhstan, which is about 91 miles to the southeast of the forward staging town of Zhezkazgan. That landing to occur some 2 hours and 6 minutes after sunrise at the landing site. The International Space Station is flying from southwest to northeast over the Indian Ocean, just to the northwest of the continent of Australia. All of the space station systems are in good shape. No issues being worked by the remaining crew members, the 7 crew members who will remain on station as Expedition 74, led by the new station commander, Mike Fink of NASA. There's our view of the hatchway to Soyuz MS-27 through the Prashal node module. Fink remains on board with Zena Cardman, Chris Williams of NASA, Kimiya Yui of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, and Roscosmos Cosmonauts Sergey Sverchkov, Sergey Mikheyev, and Oleg Platonov.